The following is a presentation of William Paterson University Television, WPTV.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Campus Conversations, where we give you an inside look on a student-run organization here at William Paterson. Today we are getting to know the Society of Professional Journalists. Here with me is Professor Nicholas Hirshon, the advisor of the club, and John Conlow, the president of SPJ. Now I want to start off by asking you guys to describe what SPJ is and what it does for William Paterson.
Well, our SPJ chapter at William Paterson is part of a national network of the Society of Professional Journalists. So the Society of Professional Journalists is a more than 100-year-old organization in the United States that advocates for the rights of journalists, including student journalists, and has networking events, mentoring opportunities, and there are campus chapters throughout the country. So in 2017, I started one at William Paterson. I had been a member of the Society of Professional Journalists since 2008 when I was a reporter. And we decided to get some students like John involved, and now we have our group on campus.
John is the president of SPJ, and you are the advisor. So what are your roles as advisor and president of SPJ?
Well, as advisor, basically it's up to me to figure out planning our events. Of course, that's a lot more difficult and challenging in a pandemic. But it used to be that we would have a reality check discussion series that would take place on campus in the Martini Room. Different guest speakers, professional journalists would come every month, share their experiences. Students could have dinner with them afterwards. We do a lot of field trips, go out to see a theater critic as she reviews a performance, or go to see a hockey reporter in the sports box, the press box at the Prudential Center in Newark during a Devils game. So just kind of creating those different opportunities for students to learn more about journalism and to interact with journalists who could become mentors for them.
And John?
Yeah, so as president, I'm the one who helps out with events. I work with our e-board to plan maybe workshops we're going to have, any journalists that they're interested in speaking with. I also assign maybe semester-long projects for each e-board member. Like this year, we started our newsletter, so that's one of our e-board members that kind of took control of that. So I kind of make sure that everyone's doing their part, and I keep in contact with Dr. Hirshon, so and I try and help with recruiting some members too.
I definitely think SPJ is very interesting because, like, the fact that you could be you could be a student here just studying journalism, and then being able to work with people who are in this field and see how they do things. I definitely like that idea to have like hands-on training that you guys provide for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big part of the Society of Professional Journalists is to try to show students that you have some sort of a channel off campus, to connect with mentors, and that it's not just going to your classes, that being the difference, as I like to say, between being a journalism student and a student journalist, someone who really takes this seriously and thinks this is going to be their career, so they want to pave the way. And maybe John can speak to that too.
Yeah, I think this just kind of extends your learning of journalism by holding these workshops, talking to real people, because the people in these reality checks, they have the experience and they give really good advice on jobs and internships and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot and built some connections with the journalists that have spoken here.
Yeah, I know me and John, we kind of do the same thing for TV Club. We have a love for this, and we don't just want to take the classes. We want to take the next step and be involved in the club, just like I hope like all your journalists, they want to take the next step and be in SPJ. That way they can get more hands-on experience. But with COVID changing many things here at the university, what has COVID done to SPJ?
Well, I mean, obviously we used to run a lot of events on campus. Like I mentioned, we'd have that reality check discussion series every month. We had our last one in early March of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And we just switched all of them online. So we're still doing them. We're still getting professional journalists coming in every month. Now we can actually do it long distance. So we have journalists who I have coming into my class or at the SPJ reality check that maybe from a much further distance than we could before. Obviously, we can't do some of the newsroom tours and shadowing journalists at work. That's a lot more challenging right now, but we're trying to find other ways that we can interact with our members.
We're trying to figure out like workshops and stuff like that. It's harder. I've noticed it's harder with attendance virtually, but I think we've been doing really well getting some new members, and I think the reality checks have worked out pretty well. So
I do like that now COVID has opened doors for you guys to have journalists that can come from any time zone, anywhere in the country that are able to talk to the students. And what kind of events are you guys holding now with?
So mainly this semester, we focus on the reality checks, but we also we held maybe like an AP style workshop. We also had the Student Press Law Center come and speak to us, part of their like discussion series. And then SPJ, the national organization, came to speak to us. But next semester, we're kind of planning on focusing more on workshops. But one thing I think that's really benefited the virtual thing is we've been able to focus now on like a newsletter that we started this semester. So I think that was really beneficial because it's, I think, easier to focus on it with being virtual.
Mm-hmm. I do like that you guys have like started something new, like COVID has opened your eyes to start like the newsletter and like AP writing styles. I know that all different writing styles are important. And I personally like that you guys are teaching that kind of stuff because maybe we don't get that in the classroom. Because like they just expect you to know it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all that idea of creating a journalism culture, right? So again, the difference between just going to a class and interacting with maybe your professor and a few of your classmates, but only seeing them for an hour or two, a few times a week, as opposed to really living this, having deeper discussions, connecting with other people who may be doing an internship that could interest you next semester, or have some sort of a contact that you're like, oh, well, that's someone I should connect with as well. And just talk about, we live in a politically charged, very interesting time to be a journalist. Have those conversations, stoke those ideas, and just, in that interchange, you learn a lot about who you are as a journalist, whether this is the right career for you. It can change your perspective. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, and I want to know, what are your hopes for SBJ this school year?
Based on me as a president, I really want to focus. Obviously, we're going to have our events, but I think this newsletter is a really good step forward in our organization. And I think we should also I want to focus on some workshops more. Obviously, we're still going to have a reality checks, which are awesome, but I also want to focus on how podcasting is becoming such a big thing now for journalists. We did have a meeting today with our e-board. We talked about focusing. I feel like a lot of our club members or organization members are a lot of print journalists. So I want to maybe branch out to broadcast journalists and maybe speak with Kurt Siegland and do types of stuff like that. So that's what my hopes are.
Yeah, I mean, I just say, my hope is always driven by what the student interest is. I just hope to learn more about what students would like to do. I'm still trying to figure out as a professor the best way of teaching on Zoom and what our students' needs and how much patience do they have for spending a lot of time on Zoom and doing exercises together. And it can it can wear on you after a while. So would they prefer more of those virtual discussions, or are there specific kind of activities we could do? Certainly the newsletter, as John said, is a great way of putting our members to work and showing what we're doing and the kinds of events that we've had in the past, and kind of also hoping towards the future that we know the pandemic's not going to last forever. And so kind of paving the way, showing there are going to be opportunities for us to go back out and do these sorts of things again. So just watch out, because when, life gets back to some sort of a normal, we're going to be right back out there.
Yeah, and I really do feel like if you guys keep continuing to do what you guys doing, you guys are going to be ready once the pandemic stops and we're able to have reality checks in person, and your newsletter will probably be like flourishing. Like, since you guys already started it, you're able to just keep growing with it.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this segment of Campus Conversation. And I hope SBJ continues to grow during these difficult times. But if you guys want to stay tuned on all things SBJ, make sure you follow their Instagram, which is @WPSPJ. But don't go anywhere, because up next we have Celebrity Catch Up.